couple days ago, I finished The Hunger of the Gods for the second time. One of my favorite book series, one of my favorite authors, John Gwynne. So, where we left off, Orca was in full beast mode, wolf mode, surrounded by children, and her Brecca was not in them. Varg, with the Bloodsworn, had just met up with Orca at Grimholt Pass and witnessed her in her state, and also being called Orca Skull Splitter. So she was the chief of the Bloodsworn before Brecca was born. And then Elvar had just witnessed Likrifa, the dragon god, being released, and had just suffered defeat at the hands of Ilska the Cruel and her and her raven feeders. Bjor had just betrayed her. So now we're moving on from there. So start with Orca's story first. Orca was asked by Glornir to join him in the Bloodsworn again, and she said, no, I have to find Brecca. And he said, well, there were a bunch of little kid beds in Rada's chamber where we were. They had thralls, and they had a dragonborn, a dragon-tainted person there. They had a troll that we defeated. So maybe I can send a few people with you to go look and see if maybe there's a clue there that will lead you to where Brecca might be from there. So she takes with her, Lif goes with her. Maybe his name is pronounced Leaf. I'm not sure. It's spelled Lif. So she takes Leaf, who's not tainted, with her. She takes from the Bloodsworn, she takes Revna, Hairlegs, Gunnar Prow, and Helya, Flatnose. Idle and her hounds, a few others. They don't really name most of them that go with her. So they get to Rada's chamber, and she finds evidence that Brecca has been kept there for a little bit. While they are there, they are met by Merk, who is Drekker and Ilska's sister. So she's Dragonborn. She was sent by her sister to go notify her dad that they have released Ligrifa. So they meet up with her, and there is a battle, as there must be. Basically, they defeat her and her band, and they take her captive. They take Merk captive. Because Merk is going to lead her to Brecca, she says. And of course, Merk is a smart-mouthed little girl. Because she's Dragonborn, I guess. Dragonborn children are just not very pleasant. Idle and her hounds and most of the Bloodsworn part ways there because they need to get to their Drakkar, and they need to send it on down to Darl to meet up with Glornir and the rest of the Bloodsworn. So Orca has Revna, Gunnar, and Helya with her. Maybe her name's Helja. I don't know. The J might be pronounced as a Y. And Lif with her. So she's got those four with her still. And they've got Merk as prisoner. So they're going to take Merk. Merk says that Likrifa is heading east to the Iskalt Islands. West to the Iskalt Islands, sorry. So they take her to the town that is next to Lake Horndell. Let me look it up. Lake Horndell is a mountain lake that is in the midst of Bloodsworn map of Snacka's mountains, bones, whatnot. Get a clear map here. That one doesn't have the name of the town. I think it's Starl. That one I can't read. Yeah, it's Darl. Okay, so Orca is there, and that is where she meets. Because I'm telling one story at a time, I might have to like tell parts of other stories. So in the town of Starl, they meet up with Elvar, who is now chief of the Battle Grim, and they have brought the wolf god Ulfra, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong too, to life. And they have him in a thrall collar, and his daughter Skald, who is the daughter of him, Ulfro, and Orna, the eagle goddess. So she meets up with them, recognizes him as the god whose blood she has in her veins. Not too thrilled with this, but so they meet up with him. They have a little chat. I don't really see that there's really much to do with this, except for Elvar asking Orca to send a message to the Bloodsworn to join her in battling against Ligrifa, because Ligrifa's plan is to rule the entire world, not to anybody's benefit. So Ulfra basically meets with her. They find out what's been going on in her end of the world. They stage a little mishap that happens in the night that allows Merc to escape, because Elvar told her that they were going to Ulfro, the wolf god, he says that they were going to head east to Ligrifa's fortress, which is Nostrandir, which is the opposite direction that Merc was telling her. So they decide that the Battle Grim is going to come in and act like they're taking their horses and robbing them, so that Merc can escape in the fray. And she does. And Orca takes her crew and she follows her. I should also mention that she has Spurt and Vesely with her too. So the Spurtus and the Tenor. So they follow Merc, because earlier when she tied her up, she did use her horse and kind of took some blood from her horse, put it on a rag so that, oh yeah, that's what while in Starl, before she met up with Ulfra, it sounds clearer in my head, she ended up buying a thralled tainted with the blood of Hundar so that she could track him. So they follow Merc. Along the way, they come across this farm, this little homestead on the north side of the Snackas Mountains, and it is destroyed, burned, and people are actively being tortured by Skraeling, which is another Vessen that Ligrifa created. Ligrifa created all the Vessens. So Orca and her crew take on the Skraeling. They save these people. And there they meet up with the giant ravens that Orca had saved from the frost spiders. And at that point, she tells, or asks, I guess I should say, those ravens and Vesely to go send the message to the Bloodsworn in Darl. Okay, hold on a minute. The names of the giant ravens are Grok and Klo. Okay. So they're on their way to go deliver that message to Glornir. And Orca and Lif and Revna and Gunnar and Helya continue to Nostrandir. When they get to Nostrandir, everybody's gone because they had gone, well, elsewhere. So they follow. Spurt opens up the door and lets them in because it had to be somebody with Licorifa's blood, I guess you could say. So they follow them. They get to the tail end of the army, I guess you could call it, and they find the children. Helia and Lif go and act like the Svarlgith. It all sounds so clear in my head when I say it. Okay. Bloodsworn map. I can't read it very well, but Svarlgarth or something. It's just south of Nostrander. So they have to go down there to defeat that little pass, I guess you could say, that little, what do they call it? Svarlgarth. Region. They go down there to defeat that region, but they took everyone with them. So anyway, so Helia and Lif are there to say that Svarlgarth is attacking them and to be prepared, so that everyone gets up in arms, and they basically leave the kids in the hands of some Skraeling, which are easily dispatched by Orca, Revna, and Gunnar. Unfortunately, Bjor comes back with his buddies, Storolf and Fane, and a few others, and they start to attack because Orca was going to take Brekka and she was going to take Bjarn because she had met up with Uspa when she met up with Elvar. And the rest of the kids were set free, allowed to do whatever. However, they would have gotten away with it if Brekka's friend, Herrick, from Feller village, that they had originally found that their neighbors were killed and their son missing, he called the alarm and said that people were escaping and they had intruders in the camp. So Brekka's friend was not really on their side at this point. So Rada, the rat god, whom we find out is alive and hanging out in Nostrander, he comes to deal with this mess, and he basically tries to get Orca to join them by putting a knife up to Brekka's throat. Oh, how does she get out of it? Oh, Helia and Lif cause a distraction and allow her to escape. Unfortunately, Revna does not make it, but they're escaping with Gunnar carrying Revna's body. Orca and Brekka and Lif and Helia all go in their separate ways to meet up at the lake where they left Sion, their tainted thrall that Orca had released, taken the collar off and released before they went to get the kids. Don't know what happened to Bjarn in this. I'll have to check and see if we know what happened. So they go their separate ways. Brekka and Orca get attacked by frost spiders. They just get out of the frost spiders when Orca realizes that she's been bitten. They get to a river as she feels herself starting to numb up and spiders are attacking her. And Brekka's freaking out, like, Mom, what do you want me to do? What am I supposed to do? And she's like, just live. And she throws him in the river because she knows that where the river goes, it'll go to the lake eventually that they were supposed to meet up at. And this is the very ending of the book. We don't know if Orca lives or dies. Which is funny because this was the story that I said to my coworkers. I said, if Orca dies, I don't know if I can come to work tomorrow because I love Orca. But John Gwynne likes to do that. He likes to have his characters seem like they're going to die at the end of a book, but they don't. Somehow they miraculously live. So I don't know how Orca's going to get out of this, but I know she lives. because when I got the third book, I had to look to see if there were some of her chapters, and there are some of her chapters. So I know she lives, which makes me happy. Okay, on to Varg's story. So Varg is... They leave the Grimhold. They head to Darl. They are still looking for Glornair's wife, basically Vol, who has been taken by Skulk. So they get down there. Orca asks them to take all the children. They take all the children. Einar, half troll, basically is like this huge big brother to these kids. There's scenes where he's playing with them hide and seek, and Rokia, who is training Varg, doesn't understand play, and she's like, I'll go over there and help you win because you don't know how to do this. And they're like, Rokia, he's letting them win. She's like, why would you do that? It's funny scene, one of those scenes that you just have to read and know the characters and just love it. Anyway, so on their way down there, they come across a farm where they can buy some food and such, and they asked if Skulk had been through there, giving his description. They said he has, and that they also bought food from them, and they're not too far ahead. It is here that Varg runs into one of the thralls that was sold at the same time as his sister, and she tells him that she's not there. She split paths with her when her sister was taken by Brack Trollsbane. So Varg's got another name on his list of people to find and to... No, he doesn't know about Brack Trollsbane yet. Somebody else that's at the dock, at the slave trade in Darl. So he goes there, and they have this plan to go to the Golder Tower and to free Vol. So they're all supposed to subtly make their way to the Golder Tower when Glornair will give the signal and they will attack. It ends up an attack happens before they're ready. And basically the Bloodsworn get thrown into the fray of what's going on. And eventually they find their way. Varg ends up chasing Guthvar, who had slain one of his buddies that was in his group. So he saw that he killed him and started chasing Guthvar. Guthvar makes it to Queen Helka's hall and basically into her safety. And basically Glornair and the Bloodsworn are there in her hall, and she's like, what's going on? What is this? And he's like, Skulk, your Golderman took my wife, took Vol, because they don't know that they're tainted. And she's like, well, he may have taken her, but he doesn't have her anymore because she was just taken out of his hands by Prince Jormor of Iskadan, which is the continent that is south of Vigrid. Skulk came into the hall to say that after they were fighting in the hall. Before the Bloodsworn had gotten there, they had ended up taking Prince Heck as he was in the act of humping, they call it. So he's butt naked. They've got him with a knife to his throat to talk about things. So Helka says, well, Jormar also took the Raldskina, the Golder book that Rada created. And I need that back, and you will get this and that and the other thing. And so she sends Glornair on the way. Before they leave Darl, chasing after Jormar, they go to the docks where the slave trade is, and they help Varg find the man who sold his sister. And they basically kill him. Find out what information they have. That's where he finds out that Brack Trollsbane had his sister. So they take Prince Hakon with them. Guthvar gives him a cloak, at least to cover up. They allow him to get some clothes on. They take him with them all the way to Liga, which is a coastal town on the south end of Vigrid. and drop him off there with his tainted thrall that was with him to make sure he wasn't mistreated. And from there in Liga, they find out that they are about 1 day behind Prince Jormor. They go down to, they basically sail to Iskaden. Before they hit the islands on the north part of Iskaden, they get attacked by a ship, another Drakkar, that has people who are infested with a parasite that apparently you get from drinking water or whatnot, or swimming in water and getting it in your mouth. The parasite latches onto your tongue and just starts eating your tongue, so they call them tongue eaters. And eventually it makes a part of its body a way up to your brain and takes over your brain, basically eating you that way, and keeps the host alive until they need to find another host, basically. So they get to the island where all these people are. They slay the huge giant tongue eater thing in a lake that's in there. Einor, at this point, he gets hurt. He's in a coma. They leave they leave him with a few other people and all the kids on that island with supplies and fresh drinking water so that they don't get infected. And they continue on to Iskaden. Iskaden, whose capital city is Valde. So they find out that they are, not too far behind Jormor now. And they basically get ahead of him in the mountains before Valde and attack. They block him on the path. They see Vol. Her lips are still stitched shut. That was done by Skulk. And they actually take out most of his crew, and they chase him into Valde, and they get inside, and they get Vol back, although she's really in need of some medical help. They chase Jormor into the building, and Sulik, who was Jormor's half-brother but had joined the Bloodsworn, that was the one that Jormor was looking for way back in Liga before. That Glorner's like, he's our man, we're not giving him to you. So he slays Jormor and then rips open a tapestry that has basically a cage hidden behind it. And Glorner's like, so like, what's this? And he's like, these are all my half brothers, because it said that the leader of Iskaden, Cyril the Magnificent, has had multiple partners and thousands of kids everywhere, and many of them are apparently tainted. And so Sulik shows them to them. And that's where Varg's story ends. Elvar, once again, not much to tell on her story. So like I said, they end up going down into the cavern where Lickgriffa was being held. And they get all the treasure that they can carry. And they also find another Gulder book that Lickgriffa created. And they use that with Skald's help to bring Ulfr back to life. But they had all those chains that Ulfr was chained with, and they used that to make him a thrall collar. So they put that on him beforehand, then they bring him back to life. None too happy to find himself a slave, but what are you going to do? So Elvar tries to fight the Bloodsworn thing, which was basically said that they were going to find Uspa's son and reunite her, and then realizes that if she fights it, she's going to be burned from the inside out, basically. So her and Sigvat realize that they have to go find Uspa's son with her, but they don't have to bring the Battlegrim with them. So she finds out, like, do you guys want to do this? We've still got all this treasure. You guys don't have to come with us, but we have to go because otherwise we'll die. And they all decide to go with her. However, they don't agree with her being chief until it's done by a Humgalga. One of them challenges her. They do it once they get on the south end of the Vaesen pit and past the Tenor Nest. which basically attacked Ulfar because Ligrifa knew he was awake when he woke. Elvar wins because it was to death. Elvar wins, and she becomes chief of the Battlegrim. Makes her way down south because Uspa's like, I want my husband released from your father's rule. So they meet Orca and them in Starro. They do all that was done. And they carry on to Snakovic, where they meet a bunch of other Drakkars and everything, showing up at her dad's port, basically joining him in battle, because he heard that Jarl Orlig, who is over Svelgarth, and Jarl Helka were meeting together, and he didn't want them to join up against him. So he was getting ready to create war against them. So she meets up with her dad, finds her way in there, and says, if I'm going to join you, I want I want to have control over your tainted thralls, the berserkers, which is what Barak is. And he says no. And long story short, she ends up killing her dad. She ends up killing her older brother, who had control over the berserkers and was going to use them to kill her. So, Elvar is now Jarl of Snakovic and chief of the Battlegrim, and in control of the berserkers, and was able to free Barak, at the very least, to be with Uspa. We had two new perspectives in this book, Bior and Guthvar. Guthvar is all butthurt about being defeated by Orca and finds out that she's tainted. So this guy's inner dialogue is like psychotic. He's crazy. I might have to continue this later because I've got visitors coming in just a minute. So, Bior and Guthvar's in just a minute.